And we are live with episode 152 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 152 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. We are excited to be back with another fantastic guest. Randy Brothers will not be with us today. Second episode in a row he missed out. He is spending some time with the family out in California. I believe he's out in San Diego. His wife's sister just got married, so congratulations, Ashley. He'll be back with us next week. But today we are talking about something that Randy preaches. He's been preaching since day one, since we started this show, right? Systems, processes, procedures, organize your business, giving you an opportunity to scale, right? How can you create a business? How can you work on your business rather than in your business, right? So today we got Canon Berrong with Berrong, right? Canon, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here.
Man, so we always like to start a little about, just background. First off, where are you at?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
You're
right
in Atlanta? Okay, Atlanta, Georgia. And how long you been out there?
I've been here most of my life. Like we were talking about before the show, I went to the University of Hawaii, so got away from Georgia for a little bit, but found my way back out here through Texas.
Okay, right on. And so you're a football player, former football player, it sounds like.
Yeah, I played a little bit, and so.
Yeah, well, so you played college ball, though, it sounds like.
Yeah, I spent a little time out at Hawaii.
Yeah? What position you play?
I played running back.
Running back. Okay, so what were you known for? Power, speed, juking? What were you known for? What was the special weapon or secret weapon for you?
Yeah, I had a little bit of everything that I don't have any of anymore.
So if you're going to compare yourself to a running back, who's a running back comparison for you?
Oh, man, I grew up always loving Jerome Bettis.
Dude, the bus?
The bus.
The bus, man. That guy is crazy, man. That guy is crazy. I saw one stat of him. It was like he had like 5 carries, 1 yard, and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that guy would just bulldoze you.
He was a little different level than me, but yeah.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Well, hey, thank you so much, like I said, for joining us. Cool to hear a little bit about your background. Former football player. He went to University of Hawaii, out in Atlanta, Georgia now. So when it comes to, getting into the roofing and construction world, what's the background there? How did that happen?
So I actually got out of college and got linked up with a financial advising firm. So was a financial advisor for a handful of years and really just kind of fell into construction. I won't get too deep into that, but basically my brother had approached me about doing some small residential things, and I agreed to do it with him, and pretty quickly had a few other people reach out to us that owned a couple of country clubs and some businesses and had us come do some commercial work for them. And really pretty quickly it turned into a business, and that was about 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay, right on. So then now do you focus mostly commercial? Do you do a little bit of residential? What's your sweet spot there?
So we have a separate company that does residential, but the majority of my time, if not all of it, is now spent on the commercial side.
Okay. So, we've been doing this show for a while, right? We have a bunch of different types of people that have been listening and that we've been engaging with and on a pretty regular basis. And it seems like a lot of people want to get into that commercial sweet spot, man. Hey, if I can get into the commercial world, man, what do you think? Are they thinking right?
I think it's just kind of a natural progression as things go. There's some things that are better. There's some things that are worse. It is what it is. For us, it was always kind of our next level goal. And so that's what we followed after. And I think that's what we're going to hit a lot on today is how we kind of made that transition and how we've been able to be successful by implementing an operating system to really help us grow.
So is that kind of how it went then? So you got started, you focused a lot on the residential properties, a lot of residential work, knew you wanted to get into commercial, right? Focus then on the operating system and the systems, the processes, all that great stuff. Once you implement that, then you started to slowly make that transition to commercial. Is that kind of how it went?
Yeah, and really it was a pretty quick transition into the commercial side just because we kind of fell into some things early. And like I said, we've always continued doing that residential side, even though I'm not very involved in that anymore.
Yeah.
From a day-to-day perspective, we still have that, but it's just not my focus anymore. We've made money doing it, so it made sense to go ahead and keep that side of the business going. And we've got some great guys on that side of the business, guys and gals. And so it's made it real easy, and especially, implementing some of the things that we've implemented kind of makes it where it's not a huge stress on any other part of the business.
Mm-hmm. So what was kind of your mindset? So, you implemented the EOS model, right? So the entrepreneurial operating system. Were you kind of searching for a solution at that point? Were you like, man, I know I need to add some organization to my business and add some structure to it? Or how did you stumble upon EOS?
I think I always thought that we were doing great things and had great ideas. And, it was like every 6 months we were doing a little bit more and a little bit different, a little bit more and a little bit different. And I was actually out playing a golf tournament with some guys. And I can remember we were coming back from the club, and one of the guys mentioned a book to me, and it wasn't Traction. It was a different one. And I can't even think of it right now. But then he said, once you read this one, you need to read Traction. And once I got into Traction, I'm like, I didn't even need to read that first book. This book was so good and hammered so many points home that I just fell in love with Traction very quickly. And Gino Wickman, who's the author of Traction, he's got some other books that are out there too that kind of talk about some of the implementation of the EOS system and really simplify it, whether that's for the whole company, whether that's for the business owner, whether that's for employees, whoever it might be. He's really got a whole lot of stuff out there so that people can really dig in and be successful.
Mm-hmm. So what was kind of like, so when you read Traction, right, was it kind of like an eye-opening experience where you start to realize what you need to kind of do to the company to the next level, or what kind of was like the takeaway after reading the book?
It was, golf is something that a lot of us try to play and a lot of us don't play very well. But, you read, whether it's Golf Magazine or whether you get on YouTube and watch some of these guys and you see them do certain things and you're like, okay, well, that makes a whole lot of sense. I just need to copy that. And so it was almost like that as we were getting into Traction, and you're sitting there and you're reading it and you're going, okay, this is some pretty obvious stuff, but I hadn't really thought too much about this, the way that he's explaining it. And really, I think the biggest thing I know for me, having the entrepreneurial spirit, is you are kind of all over the place in a whole lot of ways. You've got some structure, but really with the way that you want to be is you're always thinking about that next step and that next step and that next step. And basically what it did, it was able to bring everything together at the beginning so that you could really create the model that you were really looking to grow.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest thing it did.
Kind of like a blueprint almost.
A lot.
Yeah. So, it's pretty interesting. We were talking before the show too on this, and I'm sure we'll dive into this, is kind of, the visionary versus the implementer, right? And I think the biggest issue with a visionary is you're always thinking about the future, right? You're always thinking about what's next, how you're going to improve the company, what are we going to do? What are we going to accomplish? All these types of things. Do you think was able to maybe because for me, I think an issue I have sometimes is slowing down, right? Slow down, right? Yeah. Relax a little bit, right? We're going to get there. Do you think it kind of helps a visionary kind of slow down too, or add a little the guardrails, if you will?
It might a little bit, but I really think what it gives you is it gives you the conviction to have that person who's kind of your right hand. And for you, as you're dealing with that person, to go, hey, here's what I need out of you. Mm-hmm. And so I think as the entrepreneur, it gives you the ability to sit down and hone in on that with that one person, and that one person, they have to kind of internalize that is their job to take the vision that they believe you've got, that's the correct vision, and to put that into everybody else at the business. And so I think that's a huge part of that, of that other person's job for the visionary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as you're the visionary, right? And you mentioned Marissa's your integrator, right? Now, as a visionary, what do you kind of consider your day-to-day role? Do you kind of define that, or is it kind of all over the place, or what does that look like?
I mean, it's still kind of all over the place because there is stuff that I'm doing here at the office that is, still stuff that's the basics of a business. And I think as the CEO of a company, you're often going to still do those things. But I like getting out in the field. To me, naturally, I'm a sales guy, so I like to get out there with my guys. Nick, who runs our business development on the commercial side, Nick and I love going out. We love going to different cities. We love going to meet with general contractors. That is what kind of gets us going, is going out and spending time with these people. And that's really where we feel like we blossom, is being out there and spending time with those people. So that's what I like to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm not doing that every single day because there's still some house cleaning stuff that needs to be done, but that's a big part of my day-to-day.
So I don't want to jump the gun too much, right? But I'm at least going to pull up this because it kind of sparked the conversation for me with what you mentioned. Let's see here. So we're going to pull this up here, right? And let me pull down the branding real quick, so that way we can kind of look at this good, right? This is the EOS model, right? So it's a picture that you were able to send me over prior to the show. And one of the things was the people, right? Right people, right seats. Now, I mean, the right seats can kind of go for everybody, even for the CEO or the visionary, right? So for you, it's like you mentioned, you going out, meeting with GCs, traveling to different towns, to different cities, right? And doing that kind of stuff, the networking, the relationship building, all that kind of stuff, that helps you blossom, right? How important is that, right? To put people in a spot where they blossom or feel energized.
Yeah, I think it's so huge. And, to me, and we'll hit on this next, but the vision portion at the top, I do think that's the most important. But once you get some of that stuff settled, you can start to figure out what the right people in the right seats are. Yep. And, it really, so much of that is just, your company hierarchy, if you will. And so figuring out, typically, I would say 90+% of the time, you're going to end up with that entrepreneur because of the type of person that is typically an entrepreneur. You're going to have that person at the very top as the visionary. Yep. That next person, again, is going to be that integrator, kind of your second-hand man or second-hand woman. For us, it's a woman. And so to me, those are the biggest two pieces that you need for the rest of it to fall in. But basically, you're just dealing with, your company,
the org chart,
if you will. And so, it's just an org chart. And so, but so many people sit there and they look at their org chart and they start putting people in places and they're just kind of happy with filling a spot. But if you really want to be successful and you really want to be successful in the long term, you really need to figure out, are those people the right people, and are they in the right seat? And so, kind of as far as that goes, you've got right person, right seat. You've got wrong person, wrong seat, wrong person, right seat, and right person, right seat. And so there's a whole lot of ways you can go about that. Of course, wrong person, wrong seat. That person just doesn't fit at your company, and I know a lot of times it's easier said than done, but that person really shouldn't be at your company if it's the wrong person and it's the wrong seat. If you get the right person in the wrong seat, you need to figure out what you can do with that right person who fits what your vision is for the business.
Yeah. Do you think you can identify that? Because, as an owner, you want to make sure that it's not on you for not putting the person in the right seat, right? Are you able to identify if it's just, hey, maybe it's not the wrong person in the wrong seat, it's just the right person, but we place them in the wrong seat? Are you able to do that?
Yeah. So I think a lot of times you can, and I don't want to go too much forward with that.
Yeah.
Before we kind of get into some of the vision stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because so much of the vision, what you're talking about is your core values as a company, and you're talking about your core focus. My light over here is automatic.
You're good, man.
It's like 3 times today. So figuring out what some of those core values are for your people. Yeah. And so, basically, those are your guiding principles for your organization. And it really, I know we hopped into this pretty quick. The one thing I want to say before we hop too deep into it is, when you're a small business, which most construction companies, most especially roofing companies, are small businesses. Most of them, no matter how big they get, they're still going to be considered a small business. It takes so many millions of dollars to get into that mid-size range, and then of course to get into the big range. There's so few companies that ever get there, and so you can be great in this space without getting to $50 million. And so, but I feel like to be great in this space, the first thing that you need to do is start behaving like the company that you want to be, as opposed to the company that you are. If you're a startup company, if you've been doing this for a few years and you've got 10 employees and you're doing a few $1 million a year, if that's where you want to be, that's fine. More power to you. But if you want to be a 10, 20, $50 million company, you need to start putting the operations in place so that you can get to that spot. One of the things that we talk a lot about is great. When I tell somebody to have a blank day, it's never a good day. It's a great day. I always want to be pushing great, great, great. And so we want to push that in everything that we do. And so to us, and this is a concept from Dan Sullivan, to do anything great, you need confidence. And confidence is a byproduct of commitment, courage, and capabilities. So to get that confidence, you need to commit to a result. You need that commitment. You need the courage to get out there and actually do it. And then you need the capabilities. And some of those capabilities you're going to learn through having that commitment and the courage. And at that point, you can really go out and be confident. And so everything that we're talking about with this EOS system is putting those pieces into place so that you can go out there and be great.
Man, that was big. I really like that. I mean, act like the company you want to be, not who you are. Right? I
don't think I made that
was
up.
Awesome.
I think somebody from IBM said that, so I don't want to take too much credit for it. But as I was trying to do my research, I couldn't figure out who it was that said it.
Whoever it was, man, I think it was really well said. It goes hand in hand with the conversation that we're having today, right? And the confidence thing, man, I love that, right? You need confidence. People can feel the people in the company, the clients, they can feel the confidence, right? Yeah. And I think you said courage, commitment, capabilities, right?
Yep.
Love that, man. That was really good. Now, you said, hey, let's not dive too big into this. It sounds like the vision is the starting point that we want to start before we get too deep, right?
It is. And if we're sitting here looking at notes, vision is going to be the biggest part of what I'm going to hit on, because there's so many different pieces of it. And kind of like I told you, if we wanted to really sit here and talk about traction and talk about everything within the EOS system, I mean, we can be here for days sitting here talking about it. And so, but I think the biggest thing for so many of these people who are paying attention to shows like this is to sit here and figure out the bulk of what they need to do to really get that process started. And to me, that's these 6 key components of the EOS. And again, I didn't come up with it. This is Gino Wickman's deal. But he would start it with the vision, and the reason he would start it with that is because everything else is kind of going to evolve based on what we figure out for our vision. Yeah. And so we were talking about right people, right seat, right people, wrong seat, whatever else. So for us, the first thing when we start talking about our vision is figuring out, okay, what's our company about? And there's a whole lot of companies that can be about a whole lot of things. If you go to Chick-fil-A and you go to McDonald's, you can see real quick that there's a whole lot of companies that are about a whole lot of different things, and they're not all the same. And so core values is such a huge part of that. And we've done a lot of stuff for Chick-fil-A. And so I throw Chick-fil-A out there as much as I can, because being in their offices, being in their stores, doing work in those kinds of places, you get a really good feel for how perfectly molded a company like that really is. Because every single one of them that you go into, you've got one person doing one thing, hand it to this guy, hand it to this guy, hand it to this guy, and it's perfect just about every single time.
How amazing is Chick-fil-A? I mean, when you're looking at the fast food experience, they crush everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, being based here in Georgia, we probably take it for granted more than other people. I mean, it's on every corner here.
Oh man, but they're polite. it's clean. It's the same process every time. The food's always good, right? They go above and beyond. Everybody seems like they're in a good mood. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's one thing you'll notice for the most part when you go to a fast food restaurant. Usually the person who worked there is not in a good mood, right?
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, they're always kind.
Yeah. And so much of that goes back to what their core values are.
Yeah.
And so, core values for any company can be anything, like I said. For us, it starts with being grateful. We
Hmm.
want to be grateful to people for an opportunity. We want to be grateful to people for a job. We're just grateful for the opportunity to meet somebody. And we really are. And we internalize that. We want to be grateful in everything that we do. Integrity, that's something that a lot of companies talk about. I won't hit too hard on that. Everybody kind of knows what integrity is. Being dependable, having conviction in the work that you're doing. Conviction is another one. Unity, everybody working together, everybody understanding that every single time it needs to be the same exact thing. We need to work as a group. And then my favorite one, as everybody here at the company would tell you, is relentless. To me, I want us to be relentless in everything that we do. And that's in sales, that's in customer service, that's in, putting a final product out there, whether it's in a Chick-fil-A or whether it's in a big distribution center or wherever it might be. I want us to be relentless every step of that way and trying to give something that's excellent.
Hmm.
So, again, the big start to that vision is figuring out what those core values are.
Yep.
Yeah. So from there, kind of figuring out what your core focus is. If you're going to be a roofing company, go be a roofing company. If you're going to be a painting company, be a painting company. If you're going to, be a big general contractor, go be a big general contractor. But figure out kind of what that focus is so that you can kind of figure out what direction you're going to go. Figure out what your niche is. And so that's kind of the next thing.
The niche.
Yeah.
And it's crazy with the core values. Before we move on to that, we've been in business here with my marketing company, Suma, for 4 years now, and I didn't really realize the importance of everyone talked about the core values, but as you start to develop and build the team and the personality and the culture of your company, you start to realize it is like essential, right? It's essential with the rules that you live by, the attitude that you bring to work, the people that you try to bring into the office, clients that you try to work with. It's like it's everything. It's pretty crazy, man. So I'm glad that you touched on that with the core values. So you said after the core values goes into what?
Talking about your core focus.
Core focus. So
Yeah,
the
and just to hit
niche,
on one more
kind
thing
of.
with the core values that we'll hit on once we get to the right people, right place, is it gives you an opportunity very quickly to figure out if somebody's good for you or not. Does
Mm-hmm.
this person have these same core values? And you don't want to hide these core values in a back room or in a closet. You want to put these core values out there so that when somebody comes to interview you or when somebody wants to come work for you, they know what you're about from the very beginning. They're going to know what your core focus is to a point. If you're a roofing company or if you're a whatever kind of contractor, they're going to kind of know what you're about before they come in there. But to really know what your values are, I think it helps you a lot with figuring out who's going to be a right person for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing you're going to get to this because I know we're in the vision section, but Brooke asked Canon, what is your vision?
What is my vision? So first off, the thing that drives me, and so figuring out what it is that really is that your passion for me is simply winning. I didn't grow up as a construction guy. When I was going to college, I didn't major in construction. I didn't come out going, God, you know what I want to do? I want to go into construction. And so to me, I kind of got put in that situation and found out pretty quickly that I really dug construction. But for me, it's always just been about winning and being relentless in my journey to winning. And so there's so many different ways that you can define winning, but for us here, it's going out every single day and feel like we're winning, whether it's on the sales side, the execution side, the customer service side. But for me, that vision is simply winning. Taking it from there, our niche, that's just the work that we do, the sector of the business that we're in.
How important is that? So to make sure that you're kind of niching down and know what you're the best at.
It's important because if you don't know what you're the best at, you're going to be kind of scattered with it. And so for us, we've been great at insurance claims and roofing for a long time over on the residential side. And that just wasn't the side. I knew from the beginning that that's not where I wanted to be. And so the last few years, with us being on the commercial side, most of what we do on the commercial side is large insulation jobs, basically going into big tilt-up buildings and insulating the tilt-up walls, and then metal framing and drywall is a huge part of what we do. And so to kind of have that core of things that we do is important, because we don't want to be all over the place. If we're all over the place, we're going to have a tough time really expanding what we're doing there.
100%.
That's huge.
It makes everything easier, right? Because then we're looking at procedures, systems, processes, people that you're hiring for, the whole thing, right? When you're doing less, it's much easier to be specialized at that. So would that kind of close up the vision side of things, or anything else you think we need to be touching on there?
No, and I'll run through the rest of this stuff pretty quickly, because I don't want to sit on it too long. But figuring out what your 10-year target is, you're going to have to look pretty far ahead to figure out what your 10-year target is, but then you're going to kind of bring it back from there, and you're going to figure out, okay, to hit that 10-year target, what kind of marketing strategies do we need to have around that?
Interesting.
Whether that's geographic, whether that's demographic, or whether that's psychographic, figuring out what people value, what motivates the buyer, being the psychographic part of it. So once you figure out what that marketing strategy is that you think will get you there, figuring out what that 3-year picture is, what that looks like, bringing that all the way down to what your 1-year plan is. And then, that really from there gives you a good idea of what you need to be doing for the next 90 days. So
I love that.
Part, it's your quarterly rocks.
Yeah.
And so, that taking it from 10 to 3 to 1 to quarterly, really starts to give you a focus on everything that you're doing. And anybody that's listening to this, I know that kind of sounds like a lot, but once you sit down and you really start writing those things down, it's going to help you hone in on the things that you need to hone in on, so that you can really, get good at your craft and reach that 1-year, 3-year, and 10-year goal.
Yep. I like that a lot. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break here. We just have a couple of sponsors we want to give a quick shout out to. And then from there, I think we can kind of dive into the rest of the EOS model and break that down for people. And then if we have any questions or anything like that, we can make sure we're diving into that. But as always, of course, we want to give a big shout out to our headline sponsor, Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
We're talking a lot today about systems, procedures, organization, putting it all together, right? Obviously, Job Nimbus could be a great central hub to be doing that. So if you guys have not checked them out, go to info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy. Now, of course, another big thing that we're talking about is efficiency, right? So proposals is a big area that when we talk to people, it takes them a lot of time to get proposals out, right? And they're losing bids because maybe their proposals don't look any different, or there's no separation from the competition. So if you want to integrate a great proposal tool to your CRM system, make sure you're checking out Sumo Quote. Are you looking to stand out with your proposal? Sumo Quote is the contractor quote that crushes the competition. It is the fastest way to build custom quotes that impresses clients and wins more work. It's one of those must-have technologies for roofing contractors, allowing them to sell faster, sell more, and sell smarter. Be sure to check them out at try.sumoquote.com/start-build-grow. And last but not least, it seems like hail, tornadoes, there has been crazy weather going on all over the place, especially in Texas. And I actually got to connect with Derek Klein, who's the founder of Hail Trace, last week at the C3 Charity Golf event. Awesome dude. That guy is taking this crazy truck and going into the storms. But if you need information on where the storm hit and everything like that, make sure you're checking out Hail Trace.
If you're in the hail game, if you're working hail claims and selling roofs that have hail damage, you need to know where the hail is, how big the hail is, and when it hailed. I mean, if you're on the fence, it's a game changer.
All right, guys, making sure you're checking them out at hailtrace.com. And now back to the show. So, Ken, I think this could be a good time, or maybe I bring this bad boy back up here. What do you think?
Yeah.
So we'll pull this up. We got the model, the EOS model here. All right. What's next, my friend?
Yeah, I think we've talked so much about the vision and getting back to what we were talking about, the people. Let's run back to people.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Yeah. And so, of course, anybody who's got any type of business that isn't just working by themselves is going to have people, whether they start this EOS right now and they have to go back and they have to look at everything that they've got, or whether they start over from the beginning. If you're starting over from the beginning, it's a whole lot easier to get the right people in the right seat if you do have that conviction about what your vision is and what your core values are, because you can be upfront about those things at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And if you're hiring and you're firing based off of those things, it makes it a whole lot easier to hire those people and to fire those people when you're upfront about those things, because when you find out that somebody doesn't have integrity, you told them from the very beginning that that was one of your biggest things, is you want your company to show integrity all the time. If you have somebody that's lazy and they're not relentless at any part of their game, you told them from the very beginning you are relentless and that you're going to be on top of them and that you're going to go out and do your job. You need them to go out and do their job. So, there's a whole lot of stuff as far as hiring that makes it easier when you've done some of those things on the front end to develop your business. Now, when it gets a little bit harder, a little bit more awkward, is when you go through this process and you realize very quickly that you've got some people at your company that don't see some of these things the same way that you see these things. And maybe you haven't done a good job of talking about it. Maybe you hadn't done a good job of showing it, whatever it might be. You've got to kind of change your ball game at that point to make sure that the people who you have who are part of your business, that they're buying in and that they want to be a part of some of these values that you believe your business needs to be built around. And so, as a business owner, that's my least favorite part.
Yeah.
Because, I like for people to like me. And that's just,
I get that.
It's like, that's a good personality quality to have, but it can be a bad one too, especially when you're paying somebody every single week and they're not doing within the business what you would like to see them doing. That's when it gets difficult. But if you don't address it, then you're going to have issues with your business that are just going to lag. And at some point, you're going to have to address it. You might as well go ahead and address it sooner rather than later, once you figure out that you kind of can't fix what some of those issues are. But so one of the things that we'll do when we hire people is we call it a people analyzer. Again, this is EOS. This isn't Canon. This is Gino Wickman. And so basically with that EOS, what you're doing is you're figuring out, okay, I've got these 5 core values. And then after that, I've got get it, want it, capacity for it. GWC, get it, want it, capacity. Get it, do they understand it? Capacity, do they have the capacity? And W, do they want it? You're going to have different people who have different combinations of that. And figuring out if that person fits exactly what you need, I think that can help you address some things at the front end and figure out, have a higher batting average of who that right person is for your business, and then figuring out where that right seat is for that person.
We touched on, getting the right people in the right seat. We talked about the core values. Now we're looking at the core values in relentless and winning. Did that come from the athletic background then, would you say?
Yeah. So I think the winning part, I say I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of books.
Audible?
Yeah, Audible.
Oh, yeah.
Just wherever I can take it in. I remember I used to go to the library because you could just download them on your computer and put them on your iPod, and it was all free. That was kind of nice, but that was a whole lot of work to be done. So, my favorite book, again, people here at my company know, is Relentless.
Tim Grover.
Yep, by Tim Grover.
Yep.
And to me, it is like when I talk about doing things relentlessly, I read that book relentlessly. I've read that book 6 times in the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, every single time that I feel like I'm maybe not having a day that I'm as relentless as I want to be, I just switch that thing back on. I'll be in the middle of a different book that I feel like is going to benefit me in another way. And if I ever get that feeling, I go straight back to that book. And I preach and I preach and I preach Relentless by Tim Grover. He's got a new one that came out.
Winning. Yeah.
Yep. It is not out on audiobook yet, so I'm waiting for that to happen.
Man, so I met him at a conference, right? So the Roofing Academy used to be on Lightspeed, and he was utilizing Lightspeed as well for his LMS system, his learning management software, right? And so we started talking a little bit, and I took a picture with him, and then the next person shows up and is like, "Hey, do you mind if we take a picture with you?" He's like, "Yeah, for sure." He tries to take a picture, and the phone dies, and Tim goes, "Always be prepared. Always be prepared."
That was actually a pretty good impression of him too.
But unbelievable. For those that don't know, Tim Grover, the book Relentless is unbelievable. But he was the trainer for Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, right? So all these players that are considered some of the best of all time or the best of all time, he was their trainer.
Yeah,
so pretty.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, so pretty unbelievable, man. So okay, so we got vision, we got people. What we got cooking next year? Let's see.
Yeah. Next, I would say data, depending on where you're from.
Yeah, right.
Figuring out what those measurables are.
Yeah.
If you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to figure out what those measurables are. You'll have a leadership team as you go through this, and I won't get too deep into that because that's kind of out of a little bit some of the stuff that we're talking about. But that is part of the EOS. Figuring out who's on your leadership team, figuring out what those numbers are for the scorecards for everybody from that leadership team, building departmental scorecards, figuring out, okay, if it's your customer retention department, are we retaining customers? What rate are we doing that at? If it's your sales team, okay, what are our sales at? What do those numbers look like? Week to week, what do those numbers look like? Huge part is making sure that everybody has a number. And there's going to be some people within the business, you're going to sit there and you're going to go, well, how do I pick out a number for so-and-so? There's something that you can figure out a number for that person, even if it's just the person answering the phone, to make sure that, they have zero
missed calls or something.
Yeah. Our person who answers the phone does a whole lot more than just answering the phone. But one of the things that we measure with her is, and it's not necessarily her measurement, but it's her keeping track of it, is how many calls we get that are not positive calls. We want to make sure that every single call that we're getting is a positive call.
Yeah.
And so, figuring out what those measurables are for everybody within your office.
Yeah, cool. And also, so Brooke just said winning is on Audible. So if you guys are listening that way, make sure you check it out. Unbelievable book. I haven't checked out Winning yet, but Tim's awesome, so I'm sure it's gonna be great. So scorecard, making sure that everybody has some kind of number that's equated to their role and a grade basically on their performance, right?
Yeah.
And
so for us, we've got an estimator who makes sure that we quote X amount of dollars per week. So our leadership meetings, our L10 meetings is what we call them. Our L10 meetings are every Monday at 8 a.m.
Yep.
And so she's got to get over her numbers by Friday afternoon. So we've got those when we come into the L10 meeting on Monday. Then you've got, some of the business development guys. They need to have had a certain amount of meetings. They need to have gotten a certain number of new estimates in the door. There's just different things for different companies. If it's a residential roofing company, whether you want to have it be guys need certain number of claims filed, or you want to make it guys need a certain number of contracts signed, whatever it might be, figuring out what those numbers are so that after you guys meet every Monday, you're not sitting there going, okay, well, I guess Billy had an okay week last week. No, figure out what a winning week is. Figure out what a losing week is. If 10 contracts is a winning week and he gets 9, he lost. I got news for you. He didn't just do okay. He lost.
Yep.
And so hit that number every single time and be relentless going after that number for Billy, not just as management. Help Billy out so that he's relentless going after that goal too.
Absolutely. I love that, man. All right, let's bring this bad boy back in. All right, so we got people, we got vision, where it all starts, data or data, who knows? I know process Traction or issues? What do you think's next?
Yeah, so let's kind of hit on process a little bit. And we already talked about Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
And I was talking about another book earlier, and I didn't say the name of it, but it's the E-Myth.
The E-Myth. Yep.
Yeah. And the E-Myth is another good one. And I think E-Myth is a very good base for a lot of the things that you learn about in Traction. And Traction does a great job of implementing a lot of the things that are discussed within the E-Myth. But one of the things that's talked about within the E-Myth is having a franchise model. So when we talked about Chick-fil-A is going to do everything the exact same way at every single one of their locations. When the person takes your order, when you say thank you, they don't say you're welcome. Every single one of them says my pleasure. When you're in the back,
I didn't ever notice that.
Oh yeah, every single time. Every single time they're going to say my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. And when they say it, it typically gives you a little bit different feeling because you're used to just going through your everyday life and you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. My pleasure just gives you a little different feeling. And so they preach that so that every single person at every single place is doing it the exact same way. When you're talking about a small construction company, you might not be sitting here as your 10-year goal being to have 20 different offices all over the country. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a franchise model. For you to put that franchise model into place, which is just your processes that you're doing within that office, those processes are going to help you get to that next level. They need to be documented and they need to be followed every single time by every single employee. And I know that sounds kind of like dictatorish, but that's how you're going to get buy-in. That's how you're going to get long-term success is documenting it so that everybody understands every single time it's to be done this way, and to make sure that the employees are buying into it. And if you can do that, then you can have a seamless process where every single time it happens the same exact way, or as close to that way as you want it to happen.
Well, I think they say discipline's freedom, right? If you build on these procedures, follow these procedures, right? You said, oh, man, it might sound like dictatorship, but the thing is, when people buy in and they start to realize it makes everybody's life easier, makes the customer happier, all that great stuff, they're down. If it makes their life easier, makes them more successful, right? And that's the way you kind of pitch it, and it actually works, they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, the hard part within a business, so often you've got these, it's typically not the average guy that has a hard time buying into these things. It's the guy who's the superstar that has the problem buying into these things. And so what that person doesn't realize is that them being that superstar, they're really bringing them back down to everybody else's level because they can't do the simple things right that are these processes. And if those superstars could do those other things right, you're talking about relentless again, talking about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Those guys were superstars, but those guys were also up at 7 a.m. the next morning at the gym. And then they were taking a golf break, and then they were going back to the gym, and then they were taking a lunch break, and then they were going back to the gym. Like, these guys were relentless in their pursuit of that process. They weren't sitting here going, hey, I'm so good at this, I don't need to do this like everybody else does. They were doing it better, and they were doing it harder than everybody else, which is why they're the best.
I mean, I think Jordan started every practice with like a bounce pass or something like that, right? It was all back to the fundamentals.
Yep.
Yeah,
awesome. Crazy dudes, man.
Yeah, right. All right, so we got traction and we have issues.
Yeah, and so of course your issues, everybody's always going to have issues. What you need to do is maintain a list of those issues, figure out what those issues are, and then you need to address those issues. One of the things they talk about within Traction is IDS: identify, discuss, solve. The biggest part of these issues, let's talk about the issue. But once we get through that, let's discuss it briefly, and then let's solve it. And so let's not find an issue and sit here for the next half hour talking about this issue, because by the time we finish talking about that issue, we're going to be so worn out by this issue that probably isn't that big of an issue that we ain't even going to have the energy to want to solve it anymore. But so identify, discuss it, and then solve it. Figure out what that solution is and figure it out as a team. There's going to be some solutions that are easy for, one or two people to figure out. There's going to be other issues that need to be solved in our L10 meetings That's our leadership meeting on Monday mornings. So some of these issues are going to need to be brought up in the L10 meeting and we're going to have, if we got 6 different people in there, we're going to have 6 different opinions on it a lot of times. And so figuring out, what's going to make the most sense to be able to solve those issues. So yeah, that's the issues part of it.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
And then we got let's see here. We got traction, right?
Yeah.
So we got.
And then we've got traction, man. That's your fireworks.
That's the fireworks. I like fireworks.
I mean, it really is. My birthday is July 4th, so I love fireworks.
Great birthday. I love 4th of July.
Yeah, so y'all can feel free to send me anything you want on July 4th.
Yeah, you guys remember that, right? Can's birthday is 4th of July. Don't forget.
But so with traction, that's really where you start to bring that vision to life, and where you start internalizing so many of these things that we've discussed in the other 5 sections, so that you can just basically bring everything, like I said, bring it to life. And so, with that, you're going to have your rocks and you're going to have your meetings. Make sure that weekly that you're hitting those rocks that you've set for yourself. And that quarterly, those bigger rocks that you've set for yourself, those quarterly rocks, that you're able to hit those. And then, but you're going to have these meetings every single Monday, and we virtually do them every single Monday. And I will tell you, for years, I thought it was going to be impossible to have a standing meeting a certain day, a certain time of the week. But when we got buy-in from it, everybody understood whatever they were doing Sunday, whatever they had to do Monday, they weren't doing it Monday morning at 8 a.m. They were probably spending a little less time, doing stuff they shouldn't on Sunday night and early Monday morning, because they knew they had this L10 meeting on Monday morning. But really, to be in that L10 meeting, it's not a 6-month thing. It's not a year thing. It's not a 5-year thing. It's you've got to earn it to be in those L10 meetings. And the people who earn it to be in those meetings, they're going to be your superstars, and they're going to be the ones who are following everything that's within your EOS model, because those are the people that you're going to sit here and grow with. You're going to see all types of turnover within the construction industry, especially the guys who are listening who are part of the roofing industry. You're going to see turnover, and you're going to see it like crazy. But in that L10 meeting, if you're doing your business and you're doing the EOS the way that you need to do it, the turnover within that group is going to be so minimal, because everybody's bought in, everybody's doing exactly what they need to do, and you're all kind of growing together.
Man, this has been some awesome stuff, man. Ken, I really appreciate you sharing this. I wanted to give a quick shout out, right? So one of your friends is Dylan McCabe, right?
Yeah.
So he actually does have the Limitless Roofing CEO group, right? That does help with implementing very similar strategies. He also has a roofing group, which is Limitless Roofing CEO group, right? Where he has hundreds of roofing contractors in this group, where he posts a bunch of free content and stuff like that. And then for you, Ken, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, just maybe chat or whatever it might be, or just kind of network or like that, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I would find me on LinkedIn at Canon Berrong. There's only one of me, so it's pretty unique. Or my email address is canon@berrong.com. And so those would be the easiest ways to get a hold of me. To me, one of the things that I internalize is I want to help people as much as I can help people. And I'm not looking to sell anybody anything. I'm not selling the EOS. I'm not selling traction. I'm not doing any of that stuff for my benefit. I make $0 every time I mention book traction. I'm a nobody when it comes to any of this stuff. But I truly believe that anybody who wants to grow their business and they want to do it in a way that's sustainable and it's going to get them to that 10-year goal, I think for them to put some of this stuff in place, to take some time to do these things, it's going to benefit them in such a huge way. And it's going to do it in a much greater way than if they're just jotting down notes on paper and then every month or two when they go to clean their desk, they put it over in a stack. And I tell you, man, that happened to me for years. And once I got into this EOS, it really changed the whole way that we did our business. And there's a little bit of a peace that comes with it too. Even when you live kind of a relentless lifestyle, there's a little bit of a peace that comes to it because you know that you've got all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And you know you've got the people at the business that you need in the business to be successful.
Mhm.
But,
Man, hey, dude, unbelievable stuff. So you kind of gave a golden nugget there, but so we always ended on one last thing, okay, of advice, and you kind of gave it there. So I'm gonna put you on this on the spotlight here. But like, if you were gonna say something, a roofing contractor, roofing business owner, it could be something to make sure you avoid, something you consider. What just a piece of advice? What would you leave our viewers with?
I wish you'd have given me a heads up on this so I could
I
ask
know.
something
Hey,
really good.
well, so usually, what screwed you is usually I put Randy on first,
Yeah.
and he has to go first.
Yeah.
Gives the guests some time to think about something to say, but he's been MIA the last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
so the guest has been just getting the hot seat maxed.
Yeah. Well, and I'm okay with that. So going back to our core values, and I'm going to hit on it one more time. There's so many core values that when you're looking for what your core values are going to be as a company, most of these people are going to end up getting on Google or something and Googling core value words. And they're going to get 100 different words, and they're going to start going through them and going, okay, is this what I need to be? Is this what I need to be? Is this what I need to be? One of those words that you're never going to see on there is relentless.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to see integrity every single time. You're going to see dependable. You're going to see all these different words that are things that all these different companies are going to preach and preach and preach. But in everything that you do, try to be relentless and figure out what winning is. Figure out what that number is for you that is winning, so that every single time that you go out and every single time you go play, which is Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday or whatever your last day is of that week, that you want to sit there and you want to go, did I do that this week? So
Yep.
you can sit there on Monday and you can go, yeah, I freaking won last week. Or you can go, no, I freaking lost. Time to turn my up this week.
Man, let's go, dude. Yeah, if you guys have not checked out Relentless, make sure you're checking out that book, because that book's a game changer, man. I mean, I've been so many places. If I'm traveling, if I'm living somewhere else for a while, if I have a big event, physical challenge, whatever it might be, I would bring that book, right? And I'd have stuff that's highlighted in it, and you just kind of go back to it and reference it, and man, and it is a game changer, right? So, I love it. I mean, I got one here. I mean, this is one that I took a picture of. Cleaner Law, right? So Cleaner, that's like the top of the top in terms of performers. When you're going through a world of pain, you never hide. You show up to work ready to go. You face adversity and your critics and those who judge you. You step into the zone and perform at the top level when everyone's expecting you to falter. That's being a professional. Let's go. Hey,
Yeah, man. Hey, that's one of the things we say here around the clock, around the office, is somebody will say something like, man, you did a really good job at that or whatever. Dude, I'm a freaking cleaner. That's what
I'm a cleaner, man. That's what I do, man.
I clean. So, yeah.
I love it, man.
Well,
Well, Canon Berrong, man, thank you so much for joining me with episode 152 of the Start Build Grow Show.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me.